Hello everyone, I'm outdoors tonight, getting this supermoon, and I'm getting ready to hunt it down here just as it rises above the mountains there, the edge of the Sandia Mountains. Stay tuned, enjoy the music as we start pointing the telescope where the moon will rise. Stay tuned.
Take from me everything.
Hello everyone, this is Andrew coming here from the high desert of New Mexico. The moon should be rising like in 1 minute or two. The only thing is we have a little bit of clouds coming in, so on the edge, so it might be an extra few moments before we see the moon. And yes, you'll see me playing around with the telescope here to adjust. As you can watch this moon, which is actually a perigee, its closest approach. We're going to go ahead and watch it, or we should call it the common name by everyone's the supermoon, but it really means the moon is its closest point in the orbit, or very close to it, to Earth. So we're going to see that. It's bigger and brighter and all that good stuff. We're going to try and capture this on the camera for you. And yes, there will be pictures taken. So you're going to see me hunting around, kind of fine-tuning things with the camera and the telescope. We've got it pointed right to where it's going to rise. The issue is there's a little bit of low-lying clouds that the moon will probably have to get above. The good news is that could make for a really cool shot. And by the way, to the left of the to the right of the screen, what you're seeing is the camera controls for the Canon EOS 80D. So that's what you're looking at right there. So anyways, so enjoy the view as we hunt down the moon, the rising supermoon. Hello, everyone. We're waiting for the moon to rise, the full moon, rise above a little bit of clouds right low on the horizon, but the sky otherwise is clear. And what I'm going to bring here is, yes, I am running a Nest camera back here. Actually, use it to monitor the property for all that security and all that fun stuff, and also catching weird weather or fun weather conditions. But also, I've got it pointed tonight at the telescope in the area where the moon's rising. And as you can see, I have the telescoping camera system right now pointing at the horizon, right where the moon should be going up. And you can see there's a bit of clouds, and out of there, in that end, is where the moon will pop up here. And once it pops up, it should show up on the camera, the narrow field view you see filling the middle of the screen. So to the left you see the Nest camera view, and to the right is the camera control for the Canon AD, which is actually hooked up tonight to a Meade 70mm astrograph. So I want to get a wide field view of this moon coming over the horizon here in New Mexico, and that is where I'm broadcasting from, the high desert of New Mexico. Usually I'm indoors in my nice, warm, comfy home. Tonight I am located outdoors. So yes, it is cold right now. According to the handy dandy Apple Watch, it is 46 degrees, going down to about 28 degrees. So I'll be out here for a little bit, and then I'm going to move to the bigger telescope as the moon rises high enough over the trees, or at least through the trees, where we can see another view of it with the larger telescope, the 130mm. So you can see me sometimes going, I see the moon coming up right now. Let me take care of some pointing, and I'll be right back with you folks. All right, how's everyone doing? And yes, Vandertastic, I see you're texting or you're chatting here. This is being streamed from the high desert of New Mexico in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. And right now we're about a mile up, and it is about 46 degrees out. Normally I'm doing my broadcast from a nice, cozy, warm office, and later on we will be. But tonight we're doing it from the outdoors, so I got a better view with my telescope here in this one side of the yard. Actually, as you can see, I'm broadcasting from the deck of my home here in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. And this mount you see here is the Meade LXD 75 mount. But on top of it is Meade's new 70mm astrograph, and that's how we're capturing the image here. We're on the Meade astrograph, and hooked up to that is the Canon 80D. Our streaming software tonight we're experimenting with is I've been playing around with the OBS Studio software. So that's how you're seeing everything tonight, and all the exciting views. I'm going to adjust some things. So on this camera here, it is right now about 46 degrees here, and get a little better view of things. And let's go ahead and tone that down a little bit so you can see more of the craters. You can see actually the moon is about ready to come up to another line of clouds, and you see the clouds lighting up from the moon there and everything. So, and to the left of the screen, you're seeing a wide field view using my Nest Cam. And to the left side is the controls for the camera. You're going to see me go in front of the telescope a few times. I'm going to adjust a few things here. So stay tuned as we look at this supermoon rising here. Okay, just did some adjustments for the camera there, and looking here at the supermoon here, coming to you live from Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Our imaging is being done with the Meade 70mm astrograph hooked up to a Canon 80D camera. Now later on this evening, I might, if I'm not too frozen here, go to the telescope, my LX850 system with the 130mm refractor, to do some more video feed of the supermoon. For us astronomers and astrophysicists, engineers, what have you, the supermoon's more of a I want to say a media designated name. What's actually going on here is the moon has just reached perigee, which is our orbit. The orbit of the moon around the Earth is actually kind of more of an oval, an ellipse, than it is a circle. And at its farthest distance is apogee, and its closest distance is perigee. And right now it's at just past its closest, just I say an hour or so, maybe a half hour past its closest approach. And now you're seeing the supermoon. So it's a bit brighter, it's a bit darker, it's a bit brighter and larger, I should say. and that's letting us see this. And things are going to get brighter tonight here as we control this telescope here. I'm going to change the exposure setting just a little bit. This is actually not an exposure of 1/200th of a second, but what it is I'm adjusting the live view so we can see more details of this moon rising. Unfortunately, we didn't see it fully come over the land because, well, there's a little bit of clouds there, but it did pop up above the clouds, and up goes the full moon, and that's what we're seeing right now. Initially, I had the tracking turned off the mount because I wanted to show how that moon, how quickly it moves through the screen and how it rises above the ground. Now, of course, we're fairly above the ground, so I'm just tracking the moon now. Now, at this point, what I've done is, normally I have my telescope, my main telescope is the LX850, and it's set up in more of a secure, stable location. But tonight I want to get that best view of the moon rising, coming over the horizon. So I set up my mount, another mount I have, the LXD75, on the deck. Not really stable, fairly bumpy. So it's I wouldn't use it for astrophotography, let's put it that way, except for maybe pictures of the moon where we're taking very fast exposures, so the vibration isn't too bad if I don't dance around too much. Also, I typically control my telescope from the inside, especially this time of year, from the comforts of my warm office. But because I am right now in the back here, I'm kind of far away from the warm office. I want to make sure I have good strong signals, so I'm right now set up outdoors where it's now about, let's go on the handy dandy Apple Watch, well, still 46 degrees out. So it's a little bit different than 72 degrees in my office. So right now you are seeing the full moon rising, coming over the horizon here, and to the left you actually see a nest view, and if you look in the nest view you can now make out that bright dot of the moon coming over the horizon. And let me adjust a few things here, and let's see if I can enlarge that view from the nest cam a little bit so you can see that white dot a little bit bigger than it is. And that's the view I'm seeing from my back deck here. So, by the way, for those of you curious, the white box below the moon is a zoom feature for the Canon camera. Let me do another fun thing here. Let's see. Go to our live view. And you can see that rising there. And actually, if you look in front of the moon, that is actually a cloud coming across the front of the moon. That is not any weird, odd new craters in the system, or that you're seeing forming on the moon. That is just a cloud coming across the front there. And actually, we can do one thing. I can take my little zoom box here, and we can zoom in on that, and you can see there's the cloud moving across the front of the moon. There's our zoom view. Now, if you notice in this zoomed view, things are kind of wobbly in the screen, and that's because, well, we're going through a lot of atmosphere and we're low to the horizon. So I'm going to move our zoom box off now and take a look at that moon there tonight. Again, to the left is the Nest camera view of the moon rising, and to the right are the controls for the Canon 80D camera. And so for my pictures tonight, what you're seeing is I am using, well, I'm using actually a range of exposures, but for this live view, for this Canon setting, we're using ISO 800, and it's not necessarily 1/200th of a second, but that is the live view. And if I actually took that picture at 1/200th of a second, it would be fairly bright and washed out. But for the live view, this gives us kind of a better view of things here. And we are now tracking the moon. And by the way, I just quickly set up this mount. It's an equatorial mount. I didn't polar align it, didn't level it, didn't do anything. I just said, yep, that's about north, yep, that's about level, and which is good enough for tracking the moon tonight. We don't need to be super highly accurate because, well, we're dealing with a wide field view, and well, it's pretty easy to find the moon. We're not doing a long exposure photography. You'll probably see the moon shift around a little bit, but we can center it back on the screen. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything, let me know. and I'll try and answer them here from Rio Rancho, New Mexico, and it's right now 5:26 Mountain Time. I'm gonna come back in a couple minutes here. I'm gonna go adjust a power cord here, so you may see me dance around. And also, if you look carefully, you do see, yes, indeed, Christmas lights. All right, hello everyone. This is Andrew Santangelo from the high desert of New Mexico, and we're seeing that moon come over the horizon there. And what you do see on the left is the wide field view with the Nest camera, and actually you've seen that view, the Meade 70mm astrograph on a LXD 75 mount, and hooked up to that is a Canon 80D camera. On the middle of your screen is the live view of the moon, also close up through that astrograph. And on the left are the camera, or the right are the camera controls. It looks like we got two people from South Dakota today, Vander Tastic and Jim Grimes. Hello, everyone. And actually, we might get a cool view of the moon going through the clouds here in a moment. So that'll add to the zest of the picture. Now I'm leaving the controls up there so everyone can see what settings I'm using for this live view of the moon. And as you can see, as I play with the controls, I'm going to darken it a little bit so you can see more details of the crater. And that white box you see towards the bottom, that's actually the zoom box for zooming in on the Canon 80D. So you can see here is the live view. And let me move that Nest view for a second so you can see how things look. And let's do that. So there's our close-up view, and you can see there's a bit of turbulence and what have you, because, well, we're going still low through the horizon and actually coming up to some clouds. And so you can see a little bit of bumping around there for that live view. Let's go back to that. And we'll move our white zoom box off to the side here. Take that out of the way. And I'm kind of learning this software. I'm using the OBS Studio tonight, so bear with me as I'm kind of experimenting and learning things here. For internet connection, I see that, Jim. Actually, it's a couple of them. For right now where I'm located, I'm just using a Wi-Fi connection. I think we're at 100 megabits at this location. And we've got a MacBook Pro that's hooked up to the Canon 80D using a USB connection. And then that is connected through the internet, or the whole rig is hooked up to the internet. And then we're using the OBS Studio for our live streamings control, and YouTube Live for all this. Later on, for the broadcasting, what I'm going to be doing, or what I've done in the past, is I'll actually have an Ethernet connection hooked up to the MacBook Pro, and that gets us out to the internet, obviously a higher speed connection. And the Canon 80D is then, we're not using a USB connection, but rather the Canon is on a Wi-Fi connection to the Mac. So the Mac's Wi-Fi connection is with the Canon 80D, and the internet connection is with the Ethernet. But otherwise, on most occasions, I'm just using a standard Wi-Fi connection off my MacBook Pro that's hooked up to all this equipment you see here. And I should also add, I use a Sky Safari for my telescope control, though tonight, well, there's no real control here. We're just looking at one target using this rig here. Now, normally I use my larger telescope system, which is either 130 millimeter 80 Meade Series 6000 130 millimeter ED APO, or a 14-inch Meade F8 ACF hooked up to an LX850. But tonight I wanted to get a more of a direct view. I didn't want to look through the trees that are kind of low in the way, and I want to get this low setting here. So I ended up using this 75D LXD 75 mount. Now I'm going to play around with the camera here because we're getting close to some clouds, and this may make for a cool view here. So I'm going to move my live view here, and as you can see with the Nest Cam, we're getting close to some clouds. So I'm going to overexpose the moon here for a little bit, but we might see those clouds. And that's what I'm playing with here. Yep. So as you can see from this view, let me play around a little bit more here. The moon is overexposed, but what's really cool about it is you can see the moon go through these clouds here. So it makes for a pretty cool shot. Oh, Jim, now for good question. Actually, we're finding the connection, we're using just a cable modem for our connection, which, if I'm not mistaken, we're going at speeds significantly faster than a T1. And actually, I believe our cable, it's actually a corporate cable with a Cable One. That is a fiber line to our whole our community here. So we already do have a fiber optic line that goes to the community, and then it's just I guess a copper line that goes then to my business and setup here. And like I said, we're running about 100 megabits to our router, and then to our airport Wi-Fi hub. And we have two connections off that, of course, our Wi-Fi hub and our Ethernet connection. Now, when I'm doing a Wi-Fi from the cameras to the laptop, then I use the Ethernet for the network connection, because the Wi-Fi link, it's a direct peer-to-peer connection between the camera system and the laptop. Of course, the camera can also be a USB connection, which I'm using right now with this setup here. So as you can see, the clouds are going right in front of the moon here. And let me get that let's get. This is actually what a kind of soup and some wings, and go back inside and watch the college bowl games going on tonight. And if anyone has any questions or anything, just let me know. You are going to see me take some pictures here soon of the targets, and just enjoy. You'll see me actually walk in front of the camera and everything. So, or actually, maybe, I don't know yet. One thing that if you'll notice in this video view, the Nest camera has now gone to its infrared mode. So it's making for a cool shot of things. And for the curious, the Nest camera is also hooked up to Wi-Fi. So there's a lot of traffic going through this Wi-Fi rig right now. Again, my name is Andrew Santangelo. I'm coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. We're catching this super moon rise, and also watching it go through in and out of the clouds here. Otherwise, if you notice, the sky is pretty clear tonight. Tonight's imaging is being done with a Meade 70mm astrograph connected with a Canon 80D 80D camera, and that is a live view from that camera, and that's actually an overexposed shot I put in so we can take a look at the clouds going in front of the moon. I'm going to play around and change that exposure again, and you can see to the left the controls for the camera, and to the left also is the Nest view of everything tonight. So kind of see the camera, the horizon, the city, everything going north. And so right now, things are going right in front of the moon. That makes for an interesting shot. But what is cool is we do have the view of the Nest cam, which kind of gives you a perspective of everything. So as the moon is going behind the clouds for a little bit here, I thought I'd enlarge this view of the on the left here of the nest cam view. And as you can see, kind of the glow of the supermoon, the full moon, going behind the clouds. But it gives you an idea of the view of the camera system, and which is a Canon 80D hooked up to a Meade 70mm astrograph, and the view of the horizon from here on my back deck. And if you look to the right there of the nest view, that is the Sandia Mountains, which goes over 10,000 feet. Fortunately today, the supermoon's rising to the, if I'm facing the Sandia Mountains, to the northeast of them. So you got kind of a low horizon view of the moon rising, which is pretty cool. And you no longer see the moon to your right because it is fully in the clouds. But to your left, you can see the glow of the moon as it goes into the clouds. And so we're going to lighten things up so you can see there's a hint of the moon, but unfortunately we can't see it because it's now in the clouds. But it will pop out pretty quick because, well, the moon is moving up and the clouds are moving too. Hopefully the clouds do not track with the moon whole evening here. And if you guys have any questions about anything you're seeing online, don't hesitate to put your questions in the live chat area, and I will try and answer them as best as I can for tonight. Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Santangelo, coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, where we're covering the supermoon rising. It did rise, and right now it is behind some clouds. So because it's behind some clouds, there are no close-up view yet. it's hiding from us now. So so what you see here to the left is a view from my telescope. So you can see there is a moon out there, it's hidden away. It will begin to pop above those clouds soon. So we'll get away from. We did have a closer up view with the Meade 70 millimeter astrograph using the Canon 80D, but unfortunately, the moon's gone for just a few moments, and so behind the clouds. So we're giving a wide field view, and what you see there, besides some Christmas lights on the lower end, is the Meade 70 millimeter astrograph. And also to the right edge of the nest view is the Sandia Mountains, which go over 10,000 feet. And in the middle part, you see a glow of the sky from a bright moon, and of course clouds in front of that bright moon. So it'll pop up soon, and you can see it's beginning to peek up over the top there. And once it peeks over that top, I'll be able to pick that up on my camera system here. Again, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask. I'll try and answer them. And normally I'm in the comforts of my warm office, but tonight I am outdoors on this back deck here. So because of that, I am freezing cold right now. And it's right now about 44 degrees, so I know it's a lot warmer than for you people up in the upper Midwest in South Dakota or Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, all those good locations. But it's still cold for me out here. I'm used to doing this telescope operation from the comforts of my warm office. So we're looking at a live view from the Nest Cam, and then we'll go back to the telescope view once that moon peeks out of the clouds there. So I'll be back in a moment here. So I want you to enjoy this view, and I'll be right back. Hello, everyone. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, and we're waiting for the moon, which is about ready to peek out from behind the clouds. We do have, as you can see in this Nest Cam view, we do have a telescope with a really cool wide field view of the moon. Unfortunately, it's behind the clouds. And so we're going to this wide field view that you see here. To the left on this view, you'll see the Canon 70mm astrograph, which is pointed at the moon right now. And attached to the astrograph is a Canon 80D 80D camera. That's tied in with a USB connection to the laptop, which is providing the live broadcast. But because it's behind the clouds, I'm giving you the other camera view, our wide field nest view. So you can see the glow of that supermoon, that full moon in the background, and the telescope to the left, and the mountains, the Sandia Mountains, to the right. And that's located on the eastern edge of the Albuquerque, Rio Rancho region here in New Mexico. It's down to about 42 degrees, which for those of you in the Midwest sounds a bit tropical probably here. There's no snow. It's been very dry out, and actually it's going to warm up here later this week. And I do see Jim, who's with the Black Hills Astronomical Society, and yes, you definitely can do broadcasts with the 12-inch LXD 200 GPS and the ZW0 174mm guide cameras. And I see you have a QHY color cooled camera system, which it looks like you do use for most live viewing in the public. It looks like you've got everything there. The key thing then is tying it up to your laptop or desktop computer, and then you need a broadcast to streaming software. And what I'm using is the OBS Studio, and that allows me to add the various things you see on the screen here, the labels, the views, the transitions, everything that you see there, and that ties into my YouTube account. So that's probably the big things is you need a computer, desktop, or laptop, and then what you will need is a broadcast software. I use the Telestream's Wirecast, which is an excellent piece of software, a bit pricey, but it is excellent. It has a lot of features you'd expect in a TV studio. But I'm now experimenting with this OBS Studio, which is free. It is open source and free. Not as fancy of a setup as that Wirecast, but it does an excellent job. Though I believe with the Wirecast, and I haven't experimented with the OBS yet, with the Wirecast you can do simultaneous broadcasts to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, you name the service, you can do it. And then of course you need an account with all these services to do your live broadcast. So that's basically the easiest way to proceed here at this point. And then you should be very good to go, Jim, with your setup. And again here I'm using a Wi-Fi connection and all that good stuff. Now the moon is beginning to come out of the clouds, so I'm gonna change some of the view here, and there's the moon. As you can see, it's beginning to peek out of the clouds. I'm gonna do some more adjustments here. And as you can see, the moon is slowly beginning to peek out from the clouds. To the left is the wide field Nest camera view, and above that is the controls I'm using for the Canon 80D camera. And to the left or to the right is the wide field, or the narrower field view of that supermoon beginning to peek out through the clouds. Now you don't see the craters right now because I've overexposed the image so you can see the clouds go in front of the moon tonight. It kind of makes for a more dramatic effect, kind of makes it cool looking. Hello, everyone. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. And here you got a couple views of the supermoon that's been rising this evening. On the right hand side of the screen is the view from the telescope, a wide field telescope, a Meade 70 millimeter astrograph. And we're seeing the moon finally begin to peek out of the clouds here. To the left, because we've been in the clouds for a little bit, is the wide field view from, well, the Nest camera. When you see the telescope that's being used, you see the clouds being illuminated by the moon, and you see the Sandia Mountains to the right. In the upper left-hand corner is actually the camera controls for the Canon 80D camera. So you're seeing this live view of the moon here, the supermoon, as the media likes to call it, and basically it's the moon at its closest approach. It is at apogee or perigee. Oops, excuse me with that faux pas there. And this is so you're seeing the clouds in the narrow field view to your right there. You're seeing the moon go, the clouds go in front of the moon there, and it's creating kind of a cool effect here and everything. Makes for nice artistic pictures. And I am playing around with the exposure settings because I'm getting some pictures of this too, besides on top of this live view. And if you guys have any questions whatsoever and want to know what's going on, just feel free to say something in the live chat area, and I'll try and answer your questions here. And on this beautiful evening, outside of these few clouds going in front. And, oh, by the way, Jim, no problem giving you the info. And if anyone has any questions or any comments, go ahead and put it in the live chat area that you see there. For those who are curious what that white box that is on the screen, that is the zoom view for the camera there. All right, this is Andrew Santangelo coming from the high desert, and the nest cam. We have a view of the supermoon tonight, and on the left is the nest cam view. And I'm going to humor myself and move the nest cam view to the south. We're about ready to get an iridium flare, and I'm very curious if the nest cam will be able to pick it up. So I'm turning the view here to the south, and to see if we can see that iridium flare. I don't know, but we'll find out. We'll give it a whirl. Let's do this here. There we go. So we might. That is the south view looking towards Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we'll see if we get this nest view or not. Though I'm having a hard time seeing the screen, or the Wi-Fi is getting overwhelmed there. But we'll see if we can pick it up here. Well, there is a iridium flare right there in the sky, a pretty bright one. I don't know if the camera picked it up, but it looks cool from here. Yeah, it looks like the nest cam did pick up the iridium flare. For those of you curious what an iridium flare is, that is an iridium satellite that's in low Earth orbit, and it's got some very reflective surfaces on it. And if it sees the sun just right, it reflects that light very brightly like a flare. This satellite reflects the sunlight, making it look like a flare, and then it shows right back up. And as we just saw in this nest view, it can pick it up. The outdoor camera can pick up this flare of the sunlight reflecting off a satellite. That is really cool. I'll try and see if I can put a stream of this later up here. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and turn the nest cam back towards the moon. When we're looking at the live supermoon from the high desert, New Mexico, on the right hand side of the screen, and on the left is the wide field view of the Albuquerque Rio Rancho area. I'm going to turn this nest cam view so you can see what the moon looks like right now. Let's see here. Actually, it is pretty cool that the nest camera is showing you the view of Albuquerque, the telescope, the mountains, the Christmas lights. By the way, what is fascinating is even though you can see the bright moon, it looks like it is picking up this nest cam view. I'm going to zoom out for a second on the nest cam view to give you an idea of what we got going here. It looks like it is sensitive enough to pick up stars. Can you believe that? So let's go here, look really quick. It looks like we're seeing just above the moon there, the bright star Betelgeuse. And I'm trying to think what else we're picking up here. I think also the star Capella here. So that's pretty fascinating that with this bright moon we can still pick up some stars. I'm very tempted when there's no moon out to just point this camera up in the sky and see how that looks as a night vision or a sky cam, so you can look at the stars and all that good stuff. So on the left hand side of the screen you're seeing from New Mexico, the high desert of New Mexico, we're seeing the supermoon rising, and in that nest view to the left it actually includes what you're seeing there is the city of Rio Rancho and the city of Albuquerque. You also can see the Sandia Mountains, which go over 10,000 feet. And then to the right of our screen, you are seeing this bright supermoon, or the full moon, over the area here. That's kind of a cool view. I guess this home security camera can double as a sky view camera, so I'll have to play with that sometime. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to post them on your on the chat area, the live chat area, and I will try and answer your questions. Hello there, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. Taking a break actually from watching the Georgia Oklahoma Rose Bowl game, and it's tied going to overtime at 45 all. In the meantime, you're seeing a live view of tonight's supermoon. We'll go a little bit longer here viewing this supermoon. On the left is a wide field view from the Nest Cam of tonight's supermoon, and you can see the valley below with Albuquerque on the right edge. The Sandia Mountains over 10,000 feet tall in towards the middle, and of course that's bright supermoon. On the left is a view of the supermoon from the telescope, a Meade 70 millimeter astrograph hooked up to a Canon 80D camera. So both are live views of tonight's supermoon. And if you have any questions or ideas or anything, just feel free to enter it in the live chat area and I'll try and answer your questions tonight. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, just outside of Albuquerque in the Rio Rancho area. You are seeing a live footage of the supermoon, or the moon just past perigee actually, tonight. On the right hand side is the view from a 70 millimeter astrograph from Meade, and that's hooked up to a Canon AD camera. On the left side is the wide field view from the Nest camera, where you can see, well, some Christmas lights. You can see the city of Albuquerque and the Sandia Mountains, and of course the bright supermoon. Some of those little specks you see in the Nest view is actually views of some stars. I think Betelgeuse is in there, and Capella, and even Rigel is showing up in the view there. So it's a pretty cool view tonight here. It is cold. Meantime, I'm going to step inside and warm up for a minute to see the Rose Bowl. It's going to its second overtime, 48 all. And then in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, please enter them in the live chat area, and I'll try and answer them tonight for you.